childhood, kids are taught about eating from different food groups through the food pyramid. This is an effective way of teaching young students how to have a balanced diet and have a healthy lifestyle for their future. While this is great that humans can teach themselves how to balance their own diets, horses must depend on humans to balance their diets for them. For a horse, a balanced diet would consist of the 5 major nutrients: water, proteins, carbohydrates, minerals, and vitamins. Truthfully, it can be easy for a person to oversee an imbalance in the diet of a horse because signs and symptoms might be very slight until a very major problem arises. As horse owners, it is our duty to balance the horse's diet before one of these major problems is seen. It's very important to note that while the average horse would have a very consistent diet, the overall diet might change throughout the horse's life based on their age, based on the amount that they're worked, or if a mare might be lactating or pregnant. But overall, the 5 nutrients that I mentioned earlier are key to the overall health of each and every horse. Each of these nutrients has its own purpose, its own sign of deficiencies or excess, and ways to correct any imbalances. The first of these nutrients is water. In the Horse and Hound magazine article, it states that an adult horse's body is roughly 65% water. This shows that water is essential for every major body system. For example, the circulatory and digestive system need water in order to function properly. Having inadequate amount of water in their diet, a horse could experience dehydration and an increased risk for colic. In both of these cases, there is a risk of death. In the 4-H Horse Project member manual, it states that a horse needs roughly 8 to 10 gallons of water each day. To encourage your horse to drink more water, you could have constant access to clean water. The cleanliness of water is extremely important because many horses refuse to drink water just because of any algae, debris, or bugs that might be in the contaminated water. The next major nutrient is proteins. Proteins provide amino acids, which are necessary for the synthesis of tissues, muscles, hormones, and enzymes in the horse's body. Some amino acids are naturally produced within the body, so they don't need to be included in the diet. However, others must be found from outside sources. One example of this is lysine. Lysine is the first limiting amino acid. This means that even if other amino acids are present, without lysine, a horse's body will not function properly. Lysine is necessary for growth, which means it's even more important that young horses have plenty of access to this amino acid. To encourage your horse to get more protein, you could increase feeding feeds with higher protein content to fix any deficiencies that they might encounter. Dr. Pratt Phillips, in her article for the Horse magazine, states that seed meals like soybean, linseed, and flaxseed, and legume hays like alfalfa and clovers are excellent sources of protein in a horse's diet. The next important nutrient is carbohydrates. Carbs and fats produce energy while they're being metabolized in the body. An example of a carbohydrate is fiber. Fiber is also extremely important for the digestive tract health. The microbial ecosystem that exists within the digestive tract is extremely sensitive to the level of fiber in the horse's body. An imbalance in the fiber could lead to an imbalance in the bacterial population, which could lead to things like colic, founder, or laminitis, from an article in the Team Roping Journal. Forages tend to be extremely high in carbs and fibers. This means that to increase your horse's content of fibers and carbohydrates, you could increase their overall consumption of roughages. Commercial feeds like beet pulp can also be a great alternative source for fibers and carbohydrates in a horse's diet. Next is minerals. Minerals are extremely key to the maintenance of many body systems. However, they are most important to the skeletal system. Minerals we tend to divide into 2 major categories: macrominerals, which are needed in larger quantities, and microminerals, which are needed in smaller quantities. An example of macrominerals would be calcium, phosphorus, sodium, and potassium. There are a lot of major problems that we see throughout the horse industry that are really common with macrominerals. The first of these is simply having an insufficient amount. This is mostly common with the macromineral sodium. However, this problem is extremely simple to solve. By allowing your horse to have a free choice salt lick in their pen, stall, or pasture, the horse can correct its own amount of sodium within its body. Horses will not oversupplement themselves, so they will moderate their own intake, which is why sodium can be provided as a free intake mineral. Another really common mistake that we commonly see is an imbalance in the ratio between the macrominerals in the body. In the 4-H Horse Project member manual, it states that calcium and phosphorus should be in a 2-to-1 ratio within the horse's diet. Rainbent, which is an Australian equine nutrition company, states that an imbalance in the calcium to phosphorus ratio can actually lead to skeletal disease and skeletal problems, which is an extremely huge problem for a horse. Moving on, the microminerals could be like cobalt, zinc, iron, and a few other important minerals. These microminerals might serve a more niche purpose in the horse's body, but are still extremely necessary. Dr. Judith Reynolds, in her article for The Horse magazine, states that vitamin B12 is synthesized with sufficient amounts of cobalt. This shows how a micromineral, like cobalt, which is needed in a smaller amount, is still extremely important, that it can have an influence on one of the other major nutrients, vitamins. This shows how cobalt might have a small purpose, but is still extremely important for the horse overall. Commercial feed companies have many supplements that can offer the microminerals that a horse might be lacking in their regular diet. For example, Purina has a free balanced 12x12 vitamin and mineral supplement, which is a great way to increase your horse's access to microminerals. The final nutrient is vitamins. These provide an extremely wide variety of functions for the horse's body. Vitamins, like minerals, are usually divided into 2 different categories: the fat-soluble minerals, like A, D, E, and K, and water-soluble minerals, like the vitamin B complex minerals and vitamin C. Some of these vitamins are made in the body, so deficiencies are rarely seen within the horses. Like I mentioned earlier, with an adequate amount of cobalt in their diet, the vitamin B12 is synthesized in the large intestine. The microbes within the digestive tract also produce vitamins like vitamin K and vitamin C. Other vitamins are produced, but only under certain conditions. Dr. Kathleen Crandall states in her article that vitamin D is only produced with exposure to sunlight. So, if your horse is deficient in vitamin D, you can increase their access to this by having more time outside and turnout, or through their diet by increasing their consumption of sun-cured forages. In conclusion, all 5 of these nutrients is extremely essential for the overall health and well-being of your horse. They help for the development and maintenance of each and every body system. Because of the domesticated nature of horses, they do rely on humans to balance their horse's diet. This demonstrates why owners must evaluate their horse's diet regularly in order to create a balanced diet and a balance of all the nutrients that a horse needs to survive and have a healthy life. Facing these issues is not costly and it's not time-consuming either. It's very simple to fix them. If a horse owner reads and tracks the nutrient labels on the commercial feeds that they're using and checks the condition of their forages regularly, this can help to give them an overall idea and a good picture of the amount of nutrients their horse is receiving on a daily basis. Other ways could be as simple as regularly cleaning their water sources and adding a salt lick to their horse's pen. There are so many inexpensive yet effective ways to meet the basic nutritional needs of your horse. Just as a parent would use a food pyramid to balance their child's diet and encourage them to eat healthier, I encourage horse owners to study their horse's diet, their horse's food pyramid, and to create a happy life for their horse. Thank you.